Hello and welcome to science class. Today we're going to be doing a quick jaunt through the solar system um, with a overview of what is in our solar system and what the solar system is. So let's jump right in. The solar system. Here we see a picture of all the different planets in our solar system. We can see the different sizes and scales of them. What is the solar system? Well, a solar system, named because it's what is orbiting our sun, our star. The star is the central part of a solar system. And our solar system includes 9 planets, actually 8 true planets, and other planetary bodies. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Still somewhat considered 9 planets if you include Pluto, 8 if you don't. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about Pluto later. But there's also moons around some of the planets, not all of them. There's asteroids, comets, meteors. There's gases, dust, and a whole lot of what we call space in between, which is just emptiness. The 9 planets of the solar system are named for Greek and Roman gods and goddesses. We talk about 2 different parts of our solar system generally when we talk about the planets. We have the inner planets and the outer planets. There's 4 inner planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Those are in order from closest to the sun going outward. And then you have the outer planets outside of Mars. There's an asteroid belt, and outside of that asteroid belt we have the outer planets. Those are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and as I said before, Pluto. And there's other planetary bodies that are sometimes considered as part of this, but not necessarily true planets. Here's another view of how, again, not exactly to scale, but you can kind of get an idea of how large the sun is compared to the different planets, how large those planets are. You can also see part of that asteroid belt in between the inner planets, which are the ones closer to the sun. Then you have that asteroid belt, and then you have the more distant planets, the outer planets in the background. You can see how much larger the sun is compared to any of the other planets. What is the sun? Well, the sun's energy comes from nuclear fusion, where hydrogen molecules are converted to helium. And that's all within the sun's core. This energy is released from the sun in the form of heat and light. So remember, the sun is a star. It's actually called a yellow dwarf star. And stars produce light. Planets reflect light. So planets and moons, though when we look up in the sky, you can see Venus, you can see the moon, and it may look like they are giving off light, but they are not. They're actually just reflecting light from the sun. The sun is the only thing that emits light in our solar system. A star's temperature determines its color. The coldest stars are red, and the hottest stars are blue. And again, we have a yellow dwarf star, so it is in between there. It's not the coldest, it's not the hottest, it's also on the smaller side of stars. The 9 planets of the solar system. Planets are categorized according to their composition and size. And there are too many categories of planets. And here again, we can see why Pluto doesn't quite fit with the other planets, because all the inner planets are small rocky planets. That's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars are all small rocky planets. Pluto is also a small rocky planet. However, it would be in the outer area where all the other outer planets are all gas giants. They're made up of gas and they're much larger. That's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So if I go back to my picture, I see the 4 inner ones closest to the sun. Those are all solid rocky planets, and you can see they're all smaller than their outer planet equivalents, which are all gas giants. And we're going to look at what are the difference between small rocky planets and the giant gas planets. So the small rocky planets, again, the ones closest to the sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, they are all made up mostly of rock and metal. They are very heavy, very massive, very dense, and they move slowly in space. They have no rings, and if any moons, they have very few. Actually, Earth has a moon, Mars has 2 moons, and Mercury and Venus have no moons. And they have a diameter of less than 13,000 kilometers. So the diameter is from, if you were to cut the Earth in half and measure from one side to the other, that's the diameter, and it would be less than 13,000 kilometers. Now for the gas giants, they are made up mostly of gases, and most of them are primarily made up of hydrogen and helium, which are very light gases. They are very light for their size, so even though they're giant, they have a lot less density than the small rocky planets. And because of this, that means they move quicker in space relative to the smaller rocky planets. They also have rings, and they tend to have a lot more moons. They have a diameter of less than 48,000 kilometers, but you can see that is more than triple the largest diameter of the rocky planets. So they tend to be a lot larger than the 4 inner planets. And we can see a chart here of the relative sizes. So again, we have the sun at the very left-hand side of our picture here. Then we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Mercury is very small. Of the 8 true planets, it is the smallest. Venus and Earth are roughly the same size. I believe Earth is just slightly larger than Venus. Mars is smaller than Venus and Earth, and it is the farthest out of the inner planets before you get to that asteroid belt. Past that asteroid belt, we have Jupiter, which is the largest planet in our solar system. Then we have Saturn, known for its rings, but like we saw, all of the gas giants actually do have rings. Saturn's is the most visible. We tend not to be able to see Jupiter, Uranus, or Neptune's rings as easily. You need much higher powerful telescopes or satellite images to see those. Uranus and Neptune are roughly the same size. You can also see that they are bluish or bluish greenish color, and that comes from the gases that they are made up of. So that was just a brief overview of our solar system. We're going to get into each of the planets more in depth and also what makes them up. And we're going to dive deeper into why Pluto is not considered a planet by many and some of the other planetary bodies. We're also going to get into what makes the sun. So this was sort of our intro to the solar system. Please make sure you answer all the questions that go along with this video. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, make sure you email me, message me, and join me at 1:30 to 2:30 every single day on Google Hangouts. Other than that, take care, and I will see you next time.